In today's video, Robinhood is going IPO and will be valued at $35 billion. But should you really invest in it? Furthermore, Netflix misses earnings and is competition really heating up? And finally, some more news coming right up. Welcome back everyone, I'm your host Edward, and on this channel I'll talk about stocks and crypto news. So if that's something you're interested in, feel free to subscribe and hit that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. But yeah, the markets are up today, especially crypto. So I'll just go through a little indicator on Bitcoin, but yeah, let's not waste any more time and let's dive right in. So as usual, I'm just going to go through the markets and give my quick thoughts. And today the stock market is up once again. Nothing too crazy happening since Monday, but if we look at the heat map, majority of the market is up, and I'll actually touch base on Netflix later on in the video. But yeah, we can see that banks are doing really well due to their earnings, and the semiconductor space is up, mainly because crypto is up as well. And in terms of the crypto market, it is up about 8% today, so there's a heavy rebound, and yesterday might have been a fake out. And we can see that, you know, Bitcoin and all these other altcoins are up huge. And yeah, let's just quickly look into Bitcoin. Yesterday it was at about $29,500 per Bitcoin, and now today we're almost back to 32,000. And this is pretty much expected because this is a risky asset with a lot of volatility. And I noticed that a lot of people are doubting that Bitcoin is an inflation hedge because of all this volatility happening. And yeah, I do agree with this, but I feel like we're in the early stages, which is why, you know, Bitcoin isn't an inflation hedge yet. But once all the supplies are mined, that's when Bitcoin will really become an inflation hedge. I see Bitcoin as more of a venture capitalist type of investment where you're trying to get in early before the bull case or your thesis actually plays out. And at the end of the day, any investment is an inflation hedge if you think about it. Like, the purpose of investing is to make sure that your money doesn't lose more money. So I mean, that's my take on it. But looking into the charts, there was a triangle pattern, and you know, a lot of people are talking about, you know, breaking below this line right here, which was at about $31,000. And obviously yesterday we broke down from it, mainly because we also broke down the weekly 50-day MA. But now today we're back into the triangle. So I believe right now we're just retesting this line, and we are currently above it, but we do have to see more volume and kind of close above the line. Other than that, the sentiment right now is still bearish, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll see what happens, because yesterday I was kind of bearish because we did break below the line. But I did say that we might see a fake out, and there wasn't really much volume. So yeah, that's my quick TA on, you know, Bitcoin. Now the main article that I want to talk about today is Robinhood, because they're going IPO for a $35 billion valuation. The IPO date is not yet confirmed, but their S1 filing is out. So the stock price is going to be at about $38 to $42 per share, and they're going to sell about 55 million shares at that range to raise about $2.3 billion. And Robinhood's last private market valuation was $11 billion as of September, so it pretty much almost tripled. And apparently their mission is to democratize investing, and it seems to be the main gateway to kind of get younger investors. But I'll give my opinion on this at the end of my, you know, quick analysis. But yeah, I'm gonna dive into the stock and then give my opinions at the end. And there's a lot to talk about, obviously. This is a huge IPO, and pretty much this is a unicorn, you can say. So first, I'm going to give a bigger picture on their valuation, right? They're going for $35 billion. And obviously, when it comes to IPOs, sometimes the stock might double in valuation, like Airbnb. But $35 billion is the same valuation as like Peloton, Trade Desk, Helton, and Okta. So they're actually trading at around this range. There's IPO pricing. Obviously, we might see like a huge pump or dump, I don't know, but it gives us a good context on their valuation. But now diving into their S1 filings, they currently have about, you know, 18 million funded accounts and about 18 million monthly active users. It seems like more than 80% of their customer came from organic or referred, you know, growth, which is a good sign, meaning they don't have to spend a lot on advertising. And before I go further, I'm trying to be open-minded about the numbers. I'm not going to go into any moral reasonings on why you shouldn't invest into Robinhood. I'll do that at the end of the analysis, right? But yeah, let's look into their revenues, right? At the end of 2020, they made about almost $1 billion in revenue. And the first 3 months of 2021, they already made, half of that, which is a great sign of growth. However, right, because of the GME issue, they lost about $1.4 billion of net income due to that, whole fiasco. And it seems like they have about $4.7 billion in cash. They have a negative EBITDA of almost $1.4 billion, which was not good compared to Q1 of 2020, which was only, negative $50 million of EBITDA. In the year end of 2020, they did have a positive EBITDA, which was a really great sign because EBITDA is pretty much cash profits. And, Wall Street likes looking at EBITDA than net income because net income really varies on a lot of factors like taxes, depreciation, and amortization. So yeah, obviously I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because of what happened with GME. And by the end of this year, I do want to see like a positive EBITDA, or this isn't going to be really attractive of an investment. But in terms of their revenue, I won't be surprised if they really double it. But getting back to these key numbers, right, that's very important, especially for growth stocks, because we want to see growth on their user base. And if there's more revenue, that kind of flows through the whole entire income statement. But at $35 billion, right, and this is a company that focuses mainly on stocks, and they do have like a checking account and stuff, but what they're missing are like loans and mortgages. So I'm gonna compare this to one of their main competitors, which is SoFi, at a $12 billion valuation that made about $500 million, that has more than 2 million users, and it's growing rapidly. To be honest, I feel like SoFi is more attractive of an investment. And we also have to remember that when Robinhood goes IPO, their valuation could pump, right? Just like what Airbnb did. But based on the morale of Robinhood, that might not happen. But we also have to consider SoFi has many other products like student loan refinancing, personal loans, home loans, private student loans, and also insurance. And these are things that Robinhood doesn't have. And this is actually an upper hand for SoFi because once a customer gets into their ecosystem, they're pretty much stuck there. And it's very sticky, right? Because why would existing SoFi customers go to another company when everything can be done in one ecosystem? And I mean, Robinhood is producing really great revenues, but the purpose, right, of Robinhood is to democratize investing. And I don't think they're on that path, and I'll talk about that later. And I also want to mention Square, right? And this is a company valued at, way higher at $114 billion, but they're making a lot of moves, right? Like getting into Bitcoin, and they just released banking for their small business customers, and they're just executing really well in my opinion, which is why their valuation is high. And they have 9 times the revenue that Robinhood is generating, right, at $9.5 billion in 2020. And Square currently has about like 36 million active users on Cash App, and that's pretty much double of what Robinhood has. But the only reason why you should invest into Square is because you want to kind of have an indirect play into Bitcoin, and you're betting that Square will be the dominant leader in the fintech space, which I do personally think they are, right? So back to their mission, right? They want to democratize investing. And this is the part where I'm going to morally talk about why Robinhood isn't really a good investment. So first of all, right, we saw what happened with GameStop because Robinhood kind of stopped trading for, meme stocks for a good certain period during that whole fiasco. So for those that don't know how Robinhood makes money, they go by the payment of overflow, meaning they have, a third party like Citadel, which is their main market maker, and they will usually process all the transaction that's done by, Robinhood users. But the problem is that these market makers might not give you the best price. When Robinhood users make a trade, it's not explicit. It's so little that they won't even notice, but the amount is so little that they won't even notice. And this kind of encourages day trading. And obviously, the more volume there is within Robinhood's app, the more money they make, and also, Citadel. And obviously, payment of overflow is kind of, illegal in other countries, like here in Canada. And looking into the CEO, right, he has a background in high frequency trading in a company called Celeris. And that's how they came up with the idea and started Robinhood. So in the end, in my opinion, right, I don't think they care about their mission. I feel like there's just a fancy way of them, marketing themselves, because at the end of the day, they're kind of relying on the users to make a lot of trades, because I don't see Robinhood changing the world, to be honest. And I like to invest in things that have a huge impact worldwide and not just, in a specific country like the US. It has to have like global presence, in my opinion. So in the end, I give the stock rating a meh. It's okay, but not the best. And I understand that some people can't morally own it because because of what they did. And I agree. I totally agree. Next, I want to talk about Netflix because they beat on paid subscriber growth, but they missed out on earnings. And obviously the stock got hammered about 4% today. But the thing is, Netflix is still kind of a growth stock, and they beat out on paid subscriber growth, which I like. And for those that don't know, right, Netflix has no cash flow or net income because they kind of reinvest all that to make more content. And once they get to their goal of making enough content, and that's when they're going to stabilize net income and cash flow, because they are a monthly subscription based revenue service. But not only that, right, there's competition coming in, especially Disney Plus, and there's also HBO Max, and I feel like that one's really underrated. But we can totally see the competition kind of eating up Netflix very slowly. But I feel like Netflix is doing the right move of investing their net income and cash flows to producing more content, because that's what they're good at. And Netflix, right, has a global presence. They can kind of do business anywhere around the world, unlike Robinhood, right? It's hard to get into other markets because they're dealing with money. And Netflix is a little bit overvalued because their PEG ratio is above 1 and their 4P is above 40. But in the long term, I still do like Netflix. It's just a little too overvalued for my taste. But they do have more assets than liabilities due to their current ratio. But the problem is they don't have a lot of cash and they have more debt because they're producing a lot of content. And their revenues are growing really well at roughly 20 to 30%. And over here, right, in 2020, they were cash flow positive. And this is a profitable business, right? So I mean, at the end of the day, not bad stock. I would give Netflix a really interesting rating, better than Robinhood, obviously. And we look at the other market movers, right? Johnson & Johnson went up about 1% in the pre-market because they were saying how the vaccine is going to bring them about $2.5 billion in revenue. And we look at Verizon, right? They beat earnings and they reported better than expected revenue and subscriber growth and raised their outlook, meaning their guidance. And Warren Buffett bought this stock, right, last year when it was very cheap. And he knows when a stock is a good deal. Coca-Cola also went up 2% in pre-market after being earnings as well. And yeah, all in all, a lot of companies are doing very well, and I think it's going to drive up the market. And the last article is more personal finance, and it seems like a lot of Americans are saying their children will be in a more financially worse position than their parents. In the end, I do agree with this because wages aren't going up as fast as asset prices, and a lot of people want to own homes. And I feel like in the future, renting is going to be pretty normal, and I feel like it is currently normal right now for a lot of people. But the problem with that is that a lot of people aren't going to be able to save a lot or invest a lot in the future. And I feel like that's why a lot of people should cut down their expenses and not buy things that they don't need. But yeah, in the end, I do kind of blame the schools for not teaching us personal finance. And I feel like that was never really in the curriculum because we, the citizens, are pretty much cash flows for the government. So why would they want to teach us how money works when spending helps the economy, but pretty much they're just collecting money from us because of taxes? And I feel like that's a sad truth. So yeah, that's my quick take on it. But lastly, the more I thought about it, I think I know why Bitcoin is up today. And that's because of this conference that's going to be happening very soon. I'll talk more about the Bitcoin conference tomorrow once this is finished. But yeah, I'm excited to see what's going to happen. That wraps up for this video. If you're interested in buying crypto, please head into my referral links in the description box down below. And we both can get a small cash bonus once you sign up and make some trades. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you can see my videos every single week. That's pretty much it. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.